Welcome to the Spiritual Deep Dive in 5 podcast. So glad you could join us to spend some time reflecting on God and His love for each of us today. Make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. That way you'll never miss out on any of our content. The Spiritual Deep Dive podcast is posted Monday through Friday by Christ Church of Flagstaff here in Flagstaff, Arizona. And you can find more information about our church online at ccof.church. Thank you so much for watching, and we are so excited to see what God is going to do in your life because you are committed to spending time with Him. Here we are. We're still in Romans 12, verse 6. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy according to your faith. Let me read that again. And this idea of prophesying maybe is not something you're familiar with, but it's important. In today's vernacular, what we would say is that word is preaching. If today, don't think of it as telling the future, but telling the truth. So if your gift is telling people God's word, preaching, then preach in accordance with your faith. Share God's word with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. Verse 7, if it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. Have you ever just noticed some people are better at that than others? I wish I was. If it is giving, then give generously. I say that's the gift no one wants. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. We're in this section of Romans, this letter that Paul wrote many years ago to a church in that city of Rome that was not a Christian place at this time. And he's talking about how we live out the theology of the first 11 chapters. How do we live out the redemption, the reconciliation you and I have with God through Christ? How do we live in the grace He's given us in this family called the church? And he gets to this section, and we've been talking about how you and I aren't the center of the world. It doesn't revolve around us. We have to set aside our agendas. And then he gives us some real specific instructions. And many people call these lists of things like prophesying or preaching, proclaiming, serving, teaching, encouraging, giving, and leadership and mercy. They call those spiritual gifts. And it's this idea that we see here and other places in the New Testament is that all the things that need to happen in this family, in this new reality called the church, there's supposed to be a new reality of us, you and I, living in such a way that the world is drawn in, that the world is transformed just like we're transformed. Look at verse 2. You'll see what I'm talking about. And that all the things we need, we have, if we put them at use to the greater good. See, you have something of usefulness to this church, to whatever church you're a part of, and not just this church, but any church, any group of followers of Jesus have the things God needs for them to do. And so you might have some of the things listed here. You might have other gifts. It says we all have different gifts according to the grace, according to the gifts given to each of us. And then he just lists some as examples. This is not an all-inclusive list here. And friends, some of us, you have the gift of making God's word come alive. You need to share that. Some of you, you're just servants. You're always serving people. Are you serving the family of Christ? Are you serving it through your church? And some of us, this idea of the gift of generosity, and I made a joke earlier, nobody wants that gift because we think it'll cost us everything. And it doesn't. It's just that God's equipped some of us with a heart to give. And you have a special knack for knowing someone's in need or knowing just the thing that will help them. It's not always just money. Encouragement's listed here. What if we all just tried to get better at encouragement? And maybe some of us, folks like myself who don't do it very well, we keep saying, well, that's not how I am. But I wonder if it is. And we just haven't used it. We haven't worked it out. We haven't practiced being encouraging. I love this. It's one of the words in here says showing mercy. And like, what is that? You're just like, people do something wrong, you don't get on them, like you show mercy, you're always forgiving. No, it's really this idea of charity, of showing mercy is you're willing to do the hard work. You're willing to do the thing nobody else wants to do. You're the person who maybe it's change the diapers or or clean a restroom, or you're just willing to serve people wherever they are. And more than any other activity, friends, know this. If you think, oh man, leading and giving and encouragement, those are really cool gifts. And I'm just good at like helping people, caring for the sick, the poor, little kids. Friends, it was charity more than any other activity that changed this world's opinion, changed Rome's opinion about the followers of Jesus. See, it used to be that Rome was a place where the emperor, where Caesar was worshiped. And in that place where that was front and center more than any other was the Colosseum. And today you go to the Colosseum, and in many places you find crosses. What was at the time of Paul's writing the sign of execution and death and embarrassment and shame, because of the charity of people just like you and me, the willingness to care for the sick, for the poor, to take in children nobody else wanted. Charity, more than any other action of the early followers of Jesus, changed the world right side up, changed Rome from a pagan emperor place of worship to the center of the Christian world. We can do it again with biblical leadership and encouragement and giving and teaching and preaching. See, all the things we need are right here. All the things you and I have to offer are for the benefit of others.